So today's topic is about, as I was telling you, it is about socialization skills and how we as parents can work on a child related to socialization skills. So we know that there are a lot of issues related to socialization skills. They might be doing a lot of things over a period of time. They might get improved, but the main biggest problem is the socialization skills, where we as parents and professionals and even children, they face really a big problem. So on this, taking this aspect in the background, we'll be discussing about what are the issues and how we can work on the children. So we'll be getting a broad idea. We'll be saying what are the factors why socialization skills are lacking in children on spectrum compared to the peers, and how we can work. Some general tips and some general things where we can work. But yes, one thing I would say that you parents are the best therapists for your child, because you are there with your child 24/7. He might be going to the therapy center maybe thrice a week or daily, maybe for 1 hour or 2 hours, but rest of the time it is with you. So the take home message from this today's webinar will be the guidance for you, and accordingly you can modify those guidance as per the need of your child, because you are the best to judge your child. Even the professionals, neither the therapist can judge. So I hope we'll be able to see some of the things where how we can work for the children over the spectrum in socialization aspects. So starting our webinar now. So what we'll be discussing? We'll be discussing what is socialization skills, what are the prerequisites which are very, very important to develop the socialization skills, understanding why socialization skills are deficit in ASD kids, then what is the concept of specific to generalization, how we can introduce the concept of generalization, and some practical tips, examples I have given in this presentation, and some evidence-based practices, how we can work. So, although it's a very broad topic, so I will try to cover it as much as possible in this 45 minutes. So introduction, a brief introduction means what is socialization skills. There is no such, a technical term or anything. Socialization skills we simply know it's just a way of interaction with the environment. It's just a way of interaction with your peers, the human beings, how they interact with each other. So it all depends upon the actions. It all depends upon the gestures. It all depends upon the way of communication. It all depends upon their body language and the scenario. Some person may not be comfortable with talking to him. Some person might be comfortable in talking to that person. He might refuse, he might hesitate to talk to him, he might not give an eye contact to him, he might go away from that environment. So all these things, what are in all these scenarios, what is happening, we are able to understand the feelings of others, we are able to understand our feelings, we are able to read the face of that person. We might get a gut feeling he's not good person, so I don't want to make interaction with him. I just want to give it up, or I don't want to interact with him. So all those things come in our mind. So this is what basically is an important thing when we interact with others in terms of what we call as socialization. So in a simple way, socialization is nothing, it's just a way of interaction with the world. And this interaction or socialization skill is lacking in ASD. Now, these things come naturally. These are imbibed. They come naturally. We don't have to teach these things to our kids. We don't have to tell them, अच्छा जब पापा घर पे आएंगे या कोई रिलेटिव घर पे आएगा, हेलो करनी है या आपको स्माइल देनी है. That comes naturally. This is what we call as natural socialization skills, or what we learn through the nature, through the environment, through imitations, or we imbibe it naturally. But these things, simple things, will be lacking in our children on the spectrum, irrespective of the severity, whether it is mild, moderate, or severe. So even a small things like hello, say hi when papa, when some uncle comes, say namaste, touch the feet. So all these small things or gestures of socialization we need to teach our kids. So this is what is the thing which is lacking, and why it is lacking we'll be seeing in the future slides. So why social deficits happen in autism? Now there are three most important theories which are there. One is called, I have discussed in the previous webinar also. One is called as the motivation theory. Now motivation theory says that there is no internal motivation for a child to do something. For example, if I say that some child is playing there, a 4-year-old kid is there, he's playing with a football, and another child of 4 years or 5 years, he's playing, but he's sitting alone. So he will also feel, I want to go there. So he will go there, he will interact with him. At least if not interact, he will sit there, he will try to do something. So that is why he's going there. He was sitting alone there, but some 3 4 kids are playing around in the garden with the football. He went there. Why he went there? Because he has an urge, he has a motivation to go, he has a motivation to interact with them, he has a motivation to play the football or play whatever they are doing. So this is what we call as theory of motivation. Now this is typically lacking in the children on spectrum. A child on the spectrum might be sitting alone at the room. There are 4 5 kids, but he's not bothered. He's playing in his own. He's just rotating the wheels, whatever he's doing. Even though you may bring that child and put him in that group of 4, but he's not interested. After a period of 5 minutes, he will come back and sit up. Why? Because there is no internal motivation. So this is one theory which has been accepted. The second theory, what we call as theory of mind. Now, theory of mind, I think many of the parents might know, but this is now has not been accepted. The only accepted theory is theory of motivation. Why? Because theory of mind says that there is the children on the spectrum, they don't have the ability to understand the emotions of others. What we call as face reading. How the internal gut feeling. How is that child or how is that person? So this is what we call as an understanding of emotions of others. Now, this understanding of emotions generally come by the age of 5 to 6 years. But they say this theory is not accepted because they say that why? Because no doubt children on spectrum, they are not able to understand the emotions of others. But telling this on the same side, they are not able to understand the emotions of themselves. So they don't know when to cry, they don't know when to laugh. They might go into a meltdown. We have given them the reward, but still they are going in a meltdown. So that means they are not. Sometimes they are watching a movie, they get very happy. Instead of happy, they may start screaming, they may go in a meltdown, they may start shouting. So they are not able to express their emotions, what we call as dysregulation of emotions, or self-regulation is lacking in children. So that is why this theory of mind is not accepted, because it only talks about the emotions of others. It doesn't talk about the emotion of a person himself. So that is why, because it is not being accepted that much compared to the theory of motivation. The third theory which they say is under neuronal connectivity. Now, what is there? We know that we have a brain, and this is the frontal portion of the brain, and this is the back portion of the brain. Now, we most of us parents might be knowing that the frontal region, what is known as the cortex, it is the highest, most developed function of the brain, and this is the region where we work, or we think, we work logically, we do executive functioning, implementation of a task, thinking, logical thinking, memorize, and etc. and etc. So that means executive functioning. Now, and executive functioning includes socialization skills also. Now, children on the spectrum has found that this area of the brain has poor neuronal connectivity compared at the back. The back portion, which is known as occipital. Forget about this medical term, the back portion. Now, the back portion, it is stronger in children on the spectrum compared to the front portion. So as a result, the back portion of the brain has strong neuronal connections compared to the front portion of the brain. As a result, because of this, here the connections are better at the back compared to the front, due to which there is a poor neuronal connections in the front region of the brain, and this region of the brain is connected with socialization or executive functioning. As a result of which, you might have observed children on the autism, they have a very sharp memory. Even if you keep a small thing at one particular place, they will be able to hide that, or they may be able to identify that even after a period of 1 month. They may not be able to speak, but they know where they have kept that thing, they will pick it up. Why? Because the occipital region, the temporal region, the back portions of the brain, they are concerned with memory. As a result of which, but they are not concerned with higher executive functioning, because of which they have a strong memory compared to poor socialization skills. Now, what do you talk about social? Well, now this social motivation theory, which I have told you, it is one of the most accepted theories, and which says that this is the reason why children on the spectrum are lacking socialization skills. Now, theory of motivation says there are 3 things should be there in a child in order to have motivation to do a particular task. Keeping that example, as I've told you, there are 4 kids who are playing with a ball, and there is one kid of the similar age group playing sitting alone. He's in the spectrum. He's not fascinated to play there. He's happy playing alone. Why? Because there should be 3 things. First is social orientation. Social orientation means he should have that orientation toward that socialization thing, that these 3 kids are playing, I should be going there. Orientation means he should have a desire. He should have, some, I would say, uh, something or orientation towards that particular goal, that yes, I have to go there, but he's not having that. Then you have seeking or liking. He should have a liking towards that thing. Then the third reason is social maintenance. He should be able to maintain that. Means, a very simple example I would tell you: four kids are playing a 4-year age group football. A child on the similar age with a spectrum is sitting alone. He's not playing. Some relatives of the mother comes and tell, "ये खेल क्यों नहीं रहा? Why is not playing?" Put that child there, he will start playing. कोई बात नहीं, खेल लेगा. Mother makes all his effort. He brings his ASD kid and pick it and put them in the group of 4. So that means you have given the social orientation to the child. Now he's sitting alone. But what about seeking? What about liking? What about maintenance? After some period of time, you will observe 5 minutes ke baad the child comes alone here and he's again isolated. So what is lacking here? Seeking is lacking, maintenance is lacking. Somehow you provided him the social orientation by picking up the child and putting him there in the group. But how that liking will come? It will come naturally. It will come only when he has an interest towards that. It will only come when he is able to maintain that social maintenance or that socialization. What is the socialization skill here? He should play with all the 4 kids in, pass a ball or throw whatever they are playing with. He should be oriented and he should be mixed with them in order to maintain that social maintenance. So this is the most important, practical example, which hopefully you'll be able to understand that why this thing is not happening. So we might provide the social orientation, but these two things of liking and maintenance is not there. Now, why it is not there? We see that they say that there is a disbalance between the excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters happens in the brain. When these things happen, there is some disbalance happens between the brain, and as a result, they are not comfortable in maintaining that social maintenance. So this is some of the theories which they have given. Now, what are the most important early predictors of social development skill or socialization skills? First is joint attention. There are 3 most important skills which I'll be dealing today: joint attention, imitation, and the third one is eye contact. So first is joint attention. Now, what does joint attention means? Now, this is an example. There is an object which is there in between the both of the kids. Now, both of them is sharing a similar focus or a common focus on a particular thing. That means both of their eyes are looking at that particular object with the same focus, that I want to pick up that object. So this is what we call as social attention. Social attention means you should have an attention, a common attention towards a common particular object with the same focus. So this is very, very important. Now, it is a very important early socialization skill in which the two children share attention focus on an object. Why? Because unless and until they are not able to share a common focus and common attention towards a particular object, they won't have an interaction. They won't have an interesting thing to do with each other. So to make an example better, more clear is, when we talk about joint attention, there are 3 most important things should be present: attention, emotions, and intentions. To make us understand more clear, for example, 18-month-old kid, or maybe say example 2-year-old child, a 2-year-old child on spectrum is standing in the balcony with his parents, and there is an aeroplane going on. Now, obviously, 100% of the children are fascinated by aeroplane, and if an aeroplane is going, a child will say, "Mama, aeroplane," or even if it is not, he's saying he's non-verbal at that particular age, he points there, aeroplane. Okay. Now, suppose a child who is on the spectrum, he will be very fascinated to see the aeroplane, but he will not point, where is the aeroplane? If mother tells, "See, there is an aeroplane," he will look at there, but by himself, he will not point that there is an aeroplane. So what I'm telling you here is there are 2 things which is happening. One is called initiation of joint attention. Other is called reciprocal joint attention. Now, so initiation of joint attention means child himself is showing and pointing, there is an aeroplane. But when we talk about reciprocal joint attention, or when the child is not initiating, or what we call as responding joint attention, means mother is showing there is an aeroplane, then the child will point. So many a times ये हमारे पास कंप्लेन होती है, बच्चा खुद से नहीं दिखाता, अगर हम दिखाएंगे तो वो देखेगा, अगर हमने पॉइंट किया तो वो पॉइंट करेगा, खुद से नहीं पॉइंट करता. This is what we call, they are having they are having responding joint attention, means दिखाने पे respond कर रहे हैं, but initiation of joint attention is not there. That is the main problem. And in this picture, if you see, the child is showing his grandfather, there is some bird or aeroplane is going on. So the child is pointing by himself, and the both of them are looking with the particular emotions, with the particular attention, and with the same intention. Their focus is that on aeroplane. The child is showing, the grandfather is looking. Attention of both of them is there, and they have some emotions of looking. Yes, it might be something interesting. So these three parameters are lacking in a child on the spectrum, where they are lacking on joint attention, and because of this, they are not able to show themselves, or not able to show by themselves that there is something is going, because motivation is lacking, attention is not there, emotions are not there, and intentions are lacking. So if you show them, they will respond, but that is not the criteria for joint attention. We should have an initiation. They by themselves should show. So what are the elements of joint attention? I have shared you. Elements means, importantly, they should have emotions. A certain set of emotions should be connected with that particular activity. The focus should be there, and most importantly, eye contact should be there. So unless and until the child is not having an eye contact, joint attention cannot come. So this is the golden or the thumb rule, that without eye contact, you cannot work on joint attention. And if we are not working on joint attention, automatically eye contact will not be there. So eye contact, then joint attention, and obviously imitations will come over a period of time there. So the first and foremost thing is eye contact. Now there are certain things are also there regarding the eye contact. Should we force the child to go for an eye contact? Is it mandatory to do an eye contact? That we'll be seeing in future slides. So what are the types of joint attention? As I was telling you, responding to joint attention, initiation of joint attention. Now, respond to joint attention, majority of the 50% of the kids on spectrum will do. If you show them, they will see, but they will not see. If you tell them where is the aeroplane, they will not initiate and point that there is aeroplane. But if you point like that, see there is an aeroplane, they will look. So that means in that particular child, eye contact is there, but joint attention is lacking. So we need to work on joint attention there. If a child is not looking at there also, that means eye contact is also not there. Forget about joint attention. Work on eye contact first, then joint attention. So joint attention deficits are why it is not there. As I've told you that there can be plenty of reasons. Eye contact might not be good. They might not be responding, or they might not be able to understand the commands. That means identification is not there. Or they might be preferential looking. That means lack of eye gaze or eye contact, which I have told you. So we need to work on those basic skills of identification, of eye contact. Then only the child will be able to, gradually develop the concept of joint attention. Then we have another important skill is imitation. Now, what is imitation? Imitation means just copycat. So whatever the person is doing, he should do. So this is a typical example. Now, these things we don't have to teach. They come naturally. That is what we call as social learning. That is through the natural environment, the child imbibes and learns. So, but these things, small things, don't come naturally in our kids. So we have to teach them the concept of imitations. Again, imitations will only come when a child is showing an eye contact. Unless and until he's not, rather than an eye contact, there should be a motivation. There should be a seeking or a desire to learn. That I was shown you in the previous slides, 3-4 slides, that social motivation theory. The motivation is lacking. The seeking is lacking. The desire is lacking. So unless and until that is not developed in a child, or that is not there in a child, he will not be able to learn those things. So that is why we have to teach them each and small things over a period of time. So imitations are basically of two types. What is important for us, we'll be working on those two things. So imitations are basically of two types. One is called as learning imitations, other is known as social imitations. Now, what is learning imitation and social imitation? I'll show you in the future slides. But one thing is very important to understand, that imitation is the first and foremost thing which comes in a child as early as 4 to 5 months. So, a very well educated parents, or not even educated, where they are very well versed with autism, or if they have a sibling who is already been diagnosed autism, they might identify that a child at the age of 4 to 6 months might show some signs of early signs of autism, because there he might not be showing this typical term what is known as reciprocal imitation. Reciprocal imitation means we have normally observed that when a 4 to 6 old month child is kept in our laps, if the mother looks at him with a smile and gives him a shrug or gives him a smile, he will reciprocally give a smile, or he will open his mouth. Some form of attention will the child will give, either or eye contact, or he will show smile. So that is what we call as reciprocal imitation. Now this comes as early as 4 to 6 months. You take any neurotypical kid of this age group of 4 to 6 age group month bracket, and you just give him a hug or show him his eye contact, give him a smile, he will naturally show that smile. So this is a typical example of reciprocal imitation, which will be lacking in a child who is on the spectrum. So with this slide, I can say that we can pick up autism as early as 4 to 6 months. But on papers and documentation, the testing what we do, ESA, CARS, and etc., they only be done at the age of 18 months, because these scores, these scales have been developed in such a way that you cannot perform those activities with a child who is less than 18 months. But this is one of the earliest clue which we can pick up and give as an indication that yes, he might go in some development delay autism, so that we can keep a check on his developmental milestones. So imitation, as I was telling you, that imitation deficits in autism. There are two types of imitation. One is known as learning imitation, other is known as social imitation. Now, learning imitation and social imitation mean the recent evidences which has been done by a lot of studies in 2005 and beyond that, what they found that social imitation is lacking in children on spectrum, whereas learning imitation is there. Now, what is the difference between this learning imitation and social imitation? Now, social imitation versus learning imitation. You know, a very important thing, a very practical thing, which we know that logical thing, people learn through either observation, either modeling or imitation. Now, all these three things are lacking in the children on spectrum. So how we can expect a child to learn? So now, can we say that eye contact and imitations are very, very important? Because I have seen in some of the presentations also that some parents or some professionals, they have different school of thoughts. They say that imitation is not important. Forget if he's doing things, that is fine. Don't worry about imitation. Don't worry about eye contact. But no, I believe they are very, very important. Though you might teach them, he might write something, he might mug up something, he might speak, but ultimately, when he, after a period of maybe from 15 to 20 years from now, he might not have developed that strong confidence. Right now, you are with the child, but maybe after 15 to 20 years, he might be and he have to live, independently in the world. So in that time, if he's not that confident enough to take that, decision making decisions in his life, or life changing decisions of what has to be done, what not has to be done, he might not have developed that strong confidence unless and until he has not that strong power of observation, learning, and doing modeling. So this is very, very important. So now, as I was telling you, why is social imitation and what is learning imitation? Now, social imitation is the one which is lacking in children on spectrum. Social imitation means where the child learns naturally. Suppose mother is making chapati, a child, a 3-year-old child will come and he will also start rolling chapati. Mother is not teaching him that making chapati. There is no target in the mother's mind that I have to teach him. He will naturally is doing. Father is shaving, a child comes, he also starts shaving. A maid is grooming, a child comes, he also starts grooming the room. So these are called social imitations. They are, nobody is teaching them. They are imbibing it naturally through the environment. What is learning imitation? You are teaching a child to say one, he says one. You are teaching the child to take out the tongue out, because he is not able to do that. Maybe because oromotor sensory issues are high. You are teaching the child to clap. He claps. This is also imitation, but this is not social imitation. This is learning imitation. So this is the difference, because here in learning imitations, you are target oriented. You want to teach the child to take out the tongue out because of the target that he might be able to speak. His oromotor issues might get resolved. You are making the child to speak one because he might start learning academics. You are teaching the child to take clap or hold the bottle in hand so that you might increase the grip of the hands, or so that he might start writing, form a good web space. So these are examples of learning imitations. You have a target in the mind and you are doing it with some proper thinking in your mind. So this is called target oriented learning. So that is why these things you might observe, these things a child will do. But when he's sitting, four kids are playing, he will be sitting alone. They are playing, they are doing drawing, he might not do. Papa is doing shave, he's not bothered, he's throwing water on the wash basin, he's throwing there and there. But when you teach him in a concise environment, he does that thing. So that is what social learning. So I hope this will make us a better, give a clear example that you might now observe that my child is doing so many things, but actually they are target oriented. That is not social imitations. What is important in a child is social imitations. Now, said that, social imitations, before social imitations come, learning imitations had to be taught. This is very, very important, because in our kids, it will only come through the learning. But at one particular, you have to provide them the fundamental, a certain level of 30% learning imitation has to be fed into their mind. And then once they start observing, once they develop an eye contact, once they develop that motivation, social imitation or social learning will naturally come. So this is the difference between. So the thing is, we don't have to stick on a learning imitation and feel मेरा बच्चा तो ये कर लेता है, imitation तो है, but ये चीजें नहीं करता. Might be some different thing is going on. No, in true sense, he is not having imitation, which is required for the development of socialization skills. I hope I have made myself clear in differentiating between social and learning imitation. So then you have the another important thing is eye contact. Now, eye is very, very important. See, eyes are the mirror of the soul. There might be two speakers. One speaker might be there who might be looking at the eyes of the audiences and speaking, and another speaker might be there. He'll be looking here and there or looking down and then might be speaking. So you can observe the body language of the two speakers. You can easily differentiate. A speaker with a good eye contact will have a strong body language. He will have that strong internal motivation and a confidence in speaking in the crowd. But a person on the other hand might not be there. So that is why eyes are the most, non-verbal ways of communication. They give you they give you an idea of confidence. They give you, internal motivation to speak, to express your desires. So everything which cannot be communicated verbally, it can be said through the eyes. For example, if a mother is very angry on a particular child, he should not, shout on her or shout on him. He should just she should just give an look of a face or the eyes to the child, and he might be able to understand, yes, mother is angry. So that is the importance of eye contact. So a lot of things can be told through the eye which cannot be expressed through the words. So why do these children autism avoid eye contact? Again, the concept comes in the subcortical region. We have discussed about limbic area of the brain. I think parents might be knowing. If not, I'll just give you a brief that there are different systems of the brain. Limbus system means there is a area in the brain which is known as limbic. Now, this area is connected. I have discussed in our primitive reflex integration webinar also. Now, limbus is the area of the brain which is concerned with emotions, which is concerned with our regulation of thoughts, which is concerned with, I would say, judgments between our emotions of others and ourselves. Now, in all these things, there are chemicals which are there in the brain, what we call as an excitatory or what we call as inhibitory. Emotions means I might get conscious, I might get anxious, I might get nervous. So why this nervousness imbalance or consciousness imbalance anxiety happen? This is all, play between the excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters. Similar to the gut dysbiosis, which we have discussed, the imbalance between the good and the bad. Similarly, there is an imbalance between the chemicals. And I have told you in gut and brain that the brain and gut is connected through the chemicals. It is connected through the neurons. So that is why if there is a disimbalance between the chemicals in the brain, it can disimbalance the gut. So this is how it is interestingly connected with each other. So coming to this eye contact, what the studies have done and what they have found, these are the latest evidences from various studies and clinical trials which they have done. What they have found, when the child gives an eye contact, immediately there is a disimbalance happens between the in the brain, in the limbic system, and the excitatory neurotransmitter shoot up and the inhibitory goes down. When there's an excitatory neurotransmitter shoot up, there is an anxiety and fumblance happens in the brain. So because of that, some children might give an eye contact, but then suddenly they resist and might go there and look here, and then they may respond because the shoot up of excitatory neurotransmitters goes up. So now what can we do for that? Shall we give some inhibitory neurotransmitter to the child in the form of medication? No, nothing should be done as that. What we have to do, there is a one term what is known as exposure therapy. We have to expose the child slowly and slowly, gradually over a period of time, unless and until there are no other medical conditions which are associated. Because all for these things, there is we don't have to work there. There are certain things which have to be corrected over a period of time by correction. But yes, if there are associated medical problems or things, that's a different thing. But for these things, we need to work accordingly, and the reason why it is happening is because of these. It doesn't come, see, it doesn't come over through the environment. These are all natural things which have been already formed, which I was discussing in the gut brain, that the precursors of autism are formed well before the child is born in the uterus. So the factors for this disbalance might be some things which might happen during the pregnancy, or some complicated pregnancy might happen, or some scenarios might not be there which is favorable for the pregnancy to continue. Maybe the family, maybe environmental stress, maybe some medical problems, so XYZ. So this is the reason. It doesn't happen just over a period over of 2 days. It happens over a period of days and days. And when it gets collected over a period of time, it lands up in this problem. So this is the limbic system, which is connected with the different, emotions. So forget about this diagram. Only thing we have to remember, there is a disimbalance, and this disimbalance can happen due to the environmental factors, due to the genetic factors, which I was telling you 2 minutes back, and I have shown in our gut brain axis slide, that how it can disimbalance and how it can affect the epigenetics of the microbiota, and etc. and etc. Now, coming to this socialization funnel. Now, this is the socialization funnel which we have to think in our mind and keep in our mind while we are working on a child on spectrum. Now, sensory should come first, then should come awareness, then should come focus, then should come emotions, then should come socialization skill, then should come higher executive functioning. Higher executive functioning means your judgment, your decision making. In the corporates, what we call decision making, judgment, what decision should be taken, how quickly. So those are executive functioning calculations. Now, what happens? Sensory play has been done. The child is little bit out of sensory system or sensory issues. Now we directly focus on socialization. सब बच्चे की सोशलाइजेशन स्किल्स नहीं है, वो किसी से ग्रीट नहीं करता, वो कुछ नहीं करता, हम पार्टीज में जाना, इट बिकम्स अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम, रेस्टोरेंट में बिकम्स अ वेरी गुड प्रॉब्लम, सोशल that socialization is very big problem. He don't know how to behave with others. He start throwing things. We forget about the three basic things which are the prerequisites for the socialization: awareness, focus, and emotion. After sensory, we want to jump up directly to the socialization. Is that possible? We can't put a child from first to directly to the fifth. It has to be first, second, third, fourth. Is it possible? It's not possible. Then how we can expect a child to directly jump from this sensory state to the socialization stage? We forget about these 3, 4 important things, which are the prerequisites for the socialization: awareness, focus, and emotions. So that is why it is very, very important to understand that these three things, which are the missing links between the sensory and the socialization, are we are not working, or it's not that we are not working deliberately, naturally, we are not knowing that this is important, and we somehow miss and underestimate these things. So awareness, focus, and emotions, it comes through these three prerequisites, which I have discussed today: eye contact, imitation, and joint attention. So that is why, in my opinion, it is very, very important to work on these three factors of eye contact, imitation, and joint attention. Because unless and until if we don't work on this, you might mug up the child. आप उसको रोट मेमोरी पे डाल के सिखा दोगे कि जब कोई आया आपको ग्रीट करना है, आप जब बैठते हो कहीं रेस्टोरेंट में, आपको बिल्कुल हैंड्स फोल्ड करके बैठने हैं. आपने उसको एक सिखा दिया, एक रोट मेमोरी दे दी. But what will happen if that scenario changes? If you are not there, if he goes with some other friends, if he goes with some relatives, you will not be there always. There is some fear of the parent that वो मुझे डांटेंगे, या I have to behave decently, and I have given, or there might be some consequence, what we call as an ABC approach in behavior management: antecedent, behavior, and consequences. हमने ABC approach करके उसको सिखा तो दिया, तुम्हें आराम से बैठना है रेस्टोरेंट में. If he behaves, we will go to the house and give him a consequence. That is also has to be done, but that's a different thing. Where I'm talking today is little different. So we cannot take each and everything in terms of behavior. अब उसको वो चीज पता ही नहीं है, he is just sitting there, he is not showing eye contact, he is looking in there, but he is not behaving, he is sitting idly. We are happy that yes, वो बैठा है आराम से, sir, now he has started learning socialization, वो आराम से बैठता है. But what happens if I tell you, can he go with his other members of the relatives? If he goes with his grandpa, if he goes with his nana, will he be able to sit? नहीं sir, वहां पे तो नहीं कर पाता. That is the reason why he's not doing. Because unless and until he doesn't have an eye contact, imitation, or joint attention, He will not be able to kill his time in a restaurant. अगर वहां पे कोई मूवी चल रही है, कोई वीडियोस चल रहा है, कोई कार्टून चल रहा है, अगर उसका आई कांटेक्ट है या उसकी मोटिवेशन है कुछ चीज देखने की, ही विल एंजॉय दैट टाइम, ही विल किल दैट टाइम बाय यू नो लुकिंग एट थिंग, डूइंग इमिटेशन. अगर उसका कुछ मोटिवेशन है करने का, ही माइट ऑब्जर्व. और अगर उसका कोई जॉइंट अटेंशन है, ही माइट शो हिज पेरेंट्स, पापा को देखो सामने, दैट टेडी बियर इज गोइंग, or Peppa Pig, I want to show that. So naturally those things will come. So that is why this is the importance of working on awareness, focus, and emotions. Then naturally socialization skills will automatically come. Now regarding the executive functioning, believe me, we don't have to work on that. That will come by the age child reaches an adolescence age, unless and until we have work on these three parameters, or I mean these five parameters. But the problem is, even after the age of 15 to 16 years, we are still stuck on socialization. Forget about the executive functioning. We are not able to resolve these problems. We might be able to resolve so many problems, but the biggest problem which lands up and we are stuck is socialization skills. So this is the order where we have to follow. Sensory means the sensory issues, tactile and etc., where we give sensory diet, where we work on different textures and etc. So I'm not an expert on that, but the thing is, sensory is the basic foundation, and then you have to move forward. But from sensory, you cannot jump on socialization. This is not possible, and we cannot exclude that contact, imitation, and joint attention. Now, regarding eye contact, one thing I want to tell you: you don't have to force the child; you have to motivate them. We'll see that how we can work also on that. So importance of sensory play, we know that there are a lot of sensory issues in the child. We need to work on the sensory playing with different textures and etc. So I don't want to go in detail. Everybody of us knows how to work on the sensory diet. So this is just a sensory treasure basket where a child can be explored to different textures, different tactile textures, so that he can explore the things through his touch, through his observation, through his play, and etc. So what is the importance of sensory play? It helps in engaging the environment. It gives you a confidence. It helps in learning the concepts. It is able to resolve your tactile issues, your emotional regulation, tactile sensory issues. So it gives you a sense of developing senses. So a natural child who is born, he learns through observation. He doesn't speak, but he learns through observation. So that observations by touch, feel, sense is very, very important to develop the strong sensory system. Even a 4-month-old child, he will realize that this is the touch of my parents and this is the touch of a stranger. A 4-month-old child, he doesn't speak, he doesn't know, but if a stranger picks him up, he will start crying. But if a mother picks him up, he immediately, he feels happy, he settles down. Why? Because he can recognize the touch. That is the importance of sensory play. That is the importance of sensation touch, and that might also be lacking in a child on autism spectrum. So always remember, follow your child's need and interest. And so these are just the take homes from the sensory. So we don't want to fall the child into a sensory meltdown, which is another a big problem. So before that, the child lands up there, we have to regularize him so that it doesn't go into the stage of sensory meltdown. Then there are some evidence-based approaches to improve. Till now, we have talked about what are the issues of sensory, what are the factors which are affecting the socialization skills, imitation, joint attention, and eye contact. So how we can improve those things? The first I will talk about joint attention and imitation. Now there are three for joint attention and imitation. These are the three different sets which we can work on the child. One is called as the pivotal response training. Other is natural environment training. Then we have discrete trial training. Then social stories, modeling, what we call as video modeling, and now pivotal response training, what we call as PRT. Many parents might have heard, and some of the parents are also practicing PRT in their homes. PRT means a very simple, in a very simple way, I'll explain you. PRT means pivotal response training. It's just a play therapy. It is not goal oriented. It is child centered. Child centered means you are playing in the area where the child has an interest. For example, if you are playing carom with the child, there are certain rules that you have to strike the balls with the help of the striker from the striker line. If it goes in the hole, you have 1 point, you should hit white, you should hit black. So we are playing with certain rules and regulations. But when you play without rules and regulations in the interest of the child, that is called pivotal response training. For example, you have a child is there who's on the spectrum. He's just rotating the wheels of the red car. He's very fascinated in rotating the wheels. What as a parent will do? नहीं ऐसे नहीं करते बेटा, इसको सीधा रख के पापा को दो, मम्मा को दो, नहीं सीधा रखो। आपने एक बार कराया, हाथ से करा, फिर वही दोबारा रोटेट कर दिया। वापस सीधा करो बेटा, ऐसे खेलो, ये देखो कौन सा कलर है, he started rolling again. So what happens at the end of the day, even after 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour of efforts go in vain and we forget that. He is not learning. What we can do, let's try something. So XYZ things happen. This is not pivotal response training. You are teaching him with rules and regulation. नहीं बेटा ऐसे पकड़ना है, नहीं बेटा wheels के साथ नहीं rotate करना. You have to play. This is not pivotal response training. Pivotal response training means, for example, it will help in teaching his imitation and joint attention. For example, a child on the spectrum is playing with a red ball and is rotating the wheels. He's playing with a red car, but he's just interested in wheels. What do? You pick up another car, red car, because he's interested with the red car. And he's rotating the wheels. You also start rotating. Rotate. Now, rotating the wheel of a red car is fascinating him. He has a motivation towards that red car and rotating it. That means he has a motivation to do that. You bring up that certain thing and do again. Pick up a red car and rotate the wheels in a similar fashion. So what will happen? The child will get a motivation that, yes, this is something fascinating. What I'm doing, my mother is also doing. So he will look at you because you are doing exactly the same thing, what he's doing, because that thing is motivating him. So he's looking at you. So one thing is achieved, that the motivation to do a particular thing has attained the child. He is now getting socially oriented, means a goal oriented, looking at that thing. Now you start rotating, you start rotating. Now what happened after a certain period of time, whatever he's doing, you do. After a certain period of time, instead of red, you pick up a yellow car, but rotate the wheels. So here I have just changed one variable. I have just changed the color of the car from red to yellow, but I'm doing the similar thing, picking up the same car, same size, and rotating that black wheels. So now he will get fascinated. Might be that yellow car might be better. I will pick up a yellow car and start rotating. So your one thing, even a 2% of your achievement is a big thing. At least he has observed you and pick up the yellow car and started rotating the thing what you are doing. He has attained what is known as imitation. So this is what you are not teaching him. You are doing a social imitation. Might be a teaching. Initially, it is what we call, I would say, learning imitation. But he's doing naturally through the environment. So that is what the concept of pivotal response training. That means, so it helps in developing your motivation and joint attention. Simultaneously, he has also developed joint attention because he is observing you. He has some emotions with that focus of thought. Now, if I was playing with a red car and you're rotating the wheels, if you have taken a yellow car and a smaller car and with a different wheels, then he would not be fascinated because you have changed all the variables. You have changed the car from small to big. You have changed the color from yellow to different color. You have changed the tires from smaller to big. So that will not be fascinating him because this is something different for him. For him, the car means that small red car of that similar size of that particular tires. That is why we talk about specific generalization and we talk about specific to generalization. For a child, a car means that car which is there in the jumbo card. He will not be able to recognize that car with a car going on the road because he has not developed the concept of generalization. For him, car means that yellow, black card or flash card with that much size, with that much color, and with that much size of the tire. For him, that is the only car. If you show any other car, he won't recognize it. This is what we call as specificity. So we have to make him transit from specificity to generalization. That we'll see in future slides. But this is what I was talking to you about, how to work on PRT in improving the imitation and joint attention. Now, a practical example of PRT, pivotal response training. Now, I'll just tell you in brief what was the thing. Now, Tanaka is basically, forget about the name, a mother, there is a mother, and he has a kid on the spectrum. He's very fascinated about, books. He's very fascinated about trains. He's very much fascinated about trains. We know that our kids have some fixation towards particular thing. So he's very fascinated about trains. But he doesn't speak. He doesn't initiate about himself. When you tell what is this, he might respond. But वो खुद से नहीं बोलेगा मुझे पानी चाहिए. अगर आप पूछते हो बच्चे से पानी चाहिए, हाँ, खुद नहीं बोलेगा मुझे प्यास लगी है. So he wants to work on that. So how she works? She gets different colors, different texture, different books, which are containing all different sorts of trains. So he took in a bag, she placed in a bag and take out the bag. She took out one book where there were a lot of trains. So the child started rotating. So remember, he's doing child-centered play. He's not doing anything which is against the child. His interest is books, his interest is cars, his interest is trains. So he get a lot of books with trains. So the child mother takes out a book and opens. So child is very happy because he's fascinated about the trains. He keeps on rolling, keeps on rolling, keeps on rolling. Finished. The child takes out another book. Mother opens it. The child keeps on rolling, happy. Finished. The mother takes out a third book, opens it and asks, "What is this?" The child says, "Train." Mother was very happy that at least he has responded that. So similarly, 5 4 books are over, and then they were happy. And suddenly, then after some time, child takes out a book and opens it, and just opening, "What is this?" The child himself asks, because he was very fascinated. Now, this I'm just telling you, it's not that easy that you will we will able to make the child learn up over a period of maybe 3 days. No, it's just I'm telling you how we can work on the child. So here, how we explorated this concept of pivotal response training in improving the child's skills, in improving the child's socialization skills, because he was not able to speak. He was not having a desire. Basically, it's not that he can't speak. He was not having a desire because he's not very fascinated about these routine things, go to school, eat, and etc. So mother exploited something so that he can interest the child in that particular area. So this is what we call as pivotal response training. Now there is one thing what we call a discrete trial training. Discrete trial training means in order to learn the concept for the child to understand the things, receptive skills. Now how we can work on this is discrete trial training. Discrete trial training means you are breaking the step into small steps. For example, if I tell you, go to the kitchen. Now a child on the spectrum, maybe 4 years old child, if you tell him go to the kitchen, he might not understand. He will be looking here and there with no good eye contact, forget about what she is saying. He will go and play there. Whereas a child who is on the neurotypical spectrum, he will immediately get the grasp. Oh, it's so easy. Why I have to learn all these things? It is there because that is a problem in our kids. Although it appears to be, for neurotypical parents, what is this? This is nothing that things come naturally. No, it doesn't come naturally in our kids. So here we have to break up that sentence of go to the kitchen. Instead of going to the kitchen, you have to break them into different steps. What is known as discrete trial training. Discrete means you are breaking up. Trial means you are giving a trial. Teaching means you are teaching them learning. So now generally what happens, suppose you are telling them, go to the kitchen, go to the kitchen, or you might just wait, go to the kitchen. You are breaking the sentence. But his mother is working, mother is doing something, and child is playing there. Vian, go to the kitchen. He doesn't listen. Vian, go to the kitchen. He doesn't listen. Mother gets irritated. Vian, go to the kitchen. He doesn't listen. So after all these efforts, mother starts shouting. She loses her temper. He's not responding. Mother picks him up and tells, go to the kitchen. He is understanding. Receptive is there, but he's not following. Now, what is the problem here? The problem is, first and foremost thing is, you should have the first and foremost thing is, first is motivation, eye contact. So whenever you are talking to a child in giving a command, first and foremost thing is eye contact. Now, when you are telling Vihan, go to the kitchen, this has to be broken into different steps. You call the name of the child, Vihan. Unless and until the child doesn't give you an eye contact, don't give the command. Unless and until the child doesn't give you an eye contact, don't give the command. And you have to wait for at least 15 seconds because the processing is slow. We know that. Wait for at least 15 seconds before you say again, Vihan. So suppose you give eye contact, Vihan. So after your 3 attempts, he gives you an eye contact. Once he gives you an eye contact, that may be just for a brief of 2 seconds. Immediately give you a command. Go to the kitchen. The command should be very clear, precise, and simple as per the ability of the child. It should not be go to the kitchen, get a glass of water, come and get the towel. No, nothing. It should be very simple, clear, and crystal with a single time. Vihan gives an eye contact. Vihan, he gives an eye contact. Go to the kitchen. Now, once you have given this command, wait for some time to finish it. Now, suppose he follows that command. He goes there, but forget what was told. He might go to the different room. because he forget what was the command was given. So he knows that go, but where to go he forgot. Then you give a clue, a prompt. Either you can give in the form of visual clue, or you can give in the form of physical, that is prompt. And once he complete that task, he goes to the kitchen, give him a reward. Reward never means that always you have to give a chocolate, you have to give some materialistic thing. Give him a reward in the form of appreciation. Well done, keep it up. So this will give him a motivation. This is what we known as positive reinforcement, or deliver a motivation, because he has given a response. So this is what we call as discrete trial training. First and foremost thing is develop an eye contact, give a simple and short command, wait. If he's not able to follow that, give a prompt either in the form of visual, physical, whatever. Once he complete the task, give him a reward. So these are the 4 different things which has to be followed in a systematic order, in this order only, in discrete trial training, in giving a child to develop an eye contact and developing his, I would say, receptive skills, rather than not expressive language, expressive language. Oh, sorry, receptive language. Now, in each and every step, you have to wait for 15 seconds, so that it's not like that. Bihan, look, give an eye contact, go to the kitchen. He doesn't go, he's staying there for 10 seconds. You again repeat, Bihan, go to the kitchen. No, wait for 15 seconds so that the brain should process and then he follows. So types of modeling, we know that we have video modeling and live modeling. Video means where you are showing a movie. Live modeling means where you yourself is demonstrating. Why we encourage modeling in autism? Because you might teach a child, okay, we have gone to the kitchen, we have gone there, we have gone to the market. He might not understand. But if you show them in the picturization, in the form of an app, in the form of an image, in the form of diagram, they will learn quickly. Why? Because they are spatial learners. There are different types of learners are there: auditory, spatial, and visual. Children on the spectrum, they are very good visual learners. They learn things by observation. That is why we say draw visual schedules, draw a diagram of time, draw the diagram of this, because they learn. They have a very good brain mapping. They are spatial learners. They won't learn by just telling, अच्छा आपको 4 बजे खाना खाने जाना है, अच्छा आपको 4 बजे ट्यूशन क्लास जाना है, अच्छा at 2 o'clock you have to take lunch. They forget. Draw a picture, they will learn immediately. So this is what we call the concept of video learning. Now, in teaching imitations, you can give him a full physical prompt. Means if you pick up, he is not able to pick it up. You utilize his hand. Partial physical, just give a tap so that he can do. Verbal means you are speaking in the form of yes or no. You don't have to give a complete command. Gestural means you are either just pointing it like that. Then you have different strategies to improve eye contact. Now, eye contact strategies are basically nothing. You just have to get an eye contact. Now, there are different things. One, we say that first and foremost, you should sit at the level of the child. You should not speak standing and the child is here. He has to observe like this. No, it's not possible. The eye contact of you should be at the level of the child. So you sit at the level of the knees, and if required, use tangential. That means you hold your hands or the child's ears like this, so that his peripheral vision is cut, and it should be like this, so that he gives you a visual vision, tunnel vision, sorry. Another thing what we can do is use reinforcers. Suppose he's very fascinated about colors, so use a pink color just at here. At least if you are keeping here, he will observe here, and once he observe here, he will start noticing. Draw some facial things around your face which fascinates him. Now, I'm always using the word which fascinates and motivates him. It's not like that you use something which is in which he's not interested. Suppose he's interested in monkeys. He's interested in teddy bears. You draw some teddy bear or pick up a teddy bear, just close it to your eyes, just hold it like this and give a command. Bihan. When he looks at you, give a command. So this is how you develop eye contact in a child. So here I'm not forcing him, I'm motivating him. So this is the importance to differentiate between motivating an eye contact and forcing an eye contact. You don't have to force a child, you have to motivate him, because forcing will not help over a long period of time. Then you have the concept of generalization. Generalization means बच्चा therapy center में 40 मिनट बैठता है, he does each and everything. But once that similar activity, when you do it with a child at home, he doesn't do at all, no cooperation, nothing. That means he is very much specific to that environment, that duration with that therapist, and he's tuned to that. Once he does that thing, similar thing in a different environment, he doesn't do that. Why? Because here there are so many things are happening. From the therapy, it is the home. From the therapist, it is the mother. The way of teaching has changed. The therapist is doing in something way, the child mother is doing in something way. So all the variables have changed. The environment, the person, and the stimulus. That means the type of therapies which you are giving. So whenever you are teaching a concept of generalization to your child, always change one variable at a time. Means, suppose if a child is doing some OT exercise in the therapy center with the therapist, you do the similar activity. What you have to do at the therapy center, you tell the parents, because most of the therapy centers don't allow the parents to see. You tell the therapist, sir, I want to do the similar activity at your place with the same stimulus. So here what I have changed, I have kept the environment same, that is the OT therapy center. I have kept the similar stimulus, that is the same OT stimulus which you are giving, but I have changed the other variable, that is the therapist. From the OT, I have changed to the parent. So at least I have changed just only the one environment. Once he's comfortable with doing you at the therapy center, then you move to the next level. That is, you change the environment. From the therapy center, you can do that similar activity at the home. Once he's comfortable with that, then start introducing other family member, that is the father. So this is how we start gaining the concept of generalization. It doesn't come over a period of a day or a fortnight. It has to be learned and slowly over a period of time. So one variable has to be changed for a period of at least 10 days. Once he's comfortable with changing one variable, that means you as a parent become a therapist at the therapy center or by changing one variable for 10 days regularly. Once he's comfortable, then do that activity with different variable. Then we'll only be able to learn the concept of generalization. There are some practical scenarios. I think I'll just quickly run up. So this is a question, for example, I think I would request parents to please participate in this. Mother calls the name of a 6-year-old ASD and gives the instruction, close the door. The child looks at the mother, but ignores the instruction and continues to play. What should be the mother's next step? Repeat the instruction one more time, continue to give the instruction until the child performs the task. Give the instruction only once and wait for some time for the child to respond. So mother should shout at the child and close the door by herself. So I'll give 1 minute, and then if any of the parents is interested, then they can tell me what should be the answer. What should be the option? It's not about answer, it's about options.
Sir, A.
Okay. Mother calls the name of 6-year-old child, son, and gives the instruction, close the door.
सर मेरा आंसर ए है.
ए आपका. और कोई पेरेंट?
Sir, it should be C from my.
Okay. Okay. Any other parent?
C, sirs, we should wait for some time at least.
Yeah, C is the answer. Why it is not A? Because the mother has given an instruction. The child has given an eye contact, but after giving an eye contact, he ignores it and starts continuing to play. Now the mother immediately, what has happened? The child has given an eye contact. Mother gives the command. The child goes away from there and plays. So repeat the instruction one more time. No, we have to wait for some time, because I have told you we have to wait for 15 to 30 seconds. The child has completed the first command, give an eye contact. The mother gives the command, that is fine. Now she should not repeat it again. We have to wait for 15 to 30 seconds, because the child should process that and wait. If the child doesn't process that, then we can repeat the command. So this is what we call as this is the question in relation to discrete trial training. So majority of us will feel that we have to repeat the instruction again. No, we have to wait for some time and then see. If the child doesn't give you an eye contact, then you have to repeat it, because the first and foremost thing is give an eye contact. So another question is, the parents take their 6-year-old ASD child to the doctor to discuss about socialization issues. Mother tells son never greets with the elders well. When some relatives come at the house, he never goes and touches their toes in spite of a repeated telling. He runs here and there. He touches and plays with the cousins. He always keep running in the house on soft texture. He has walking, but is comfortable on walking on the hard surface. He walks fine. Doctor, kindly help us. What should the doctor advise? So the first is the child is in ADHD. The doctor says the child is in ADHD. We should start on the medications to control his hyperactivity. This will resolve his issues. Increase his exposure by taking him to different relatives' house. This is normal. He will be fine slowly. He has sensory issues. Work on the sensory.
Sir, A है answer.
B.
No.
No, it is D.
B.
He has sensory issues.
D है.
Okay.
He
Okay.
is sensory.
Okay. Yeah. Answer is B and D. And we have to
B.
definitely increase his exposure. But the first thing is sensory. He has a lot of sensory issues, because how we know that he has sensory issues? First and foremost thing, there are two important clues which are there. First is the child is touching each and everything, is running here and there and touching. So that means he might be having a lot of tactile issues. Another thing which points toward the tactile issues and vestibular issues is he's always running here and there. He's comfortable on the hard surface, but he is running on the soft surface. So that means the tactile issues are there in the child, whereas he's comfortable with the hard texture, but not with the soft texture. You might have also observed in your kids in some period of time that he might be comfortable in running on the grass or walking on the grass, but not on the smooth surface. So that is what we call as tactile issues in relation to different textures. So definitely, yes, he has sensory issues and we need to work on a sensory diet. Now, another third thing, a class teacher is teaching the concept of generalization to some of his ASD kids. A class teacher is there, she is teaching the concept of generalization. Remember, now she tells them to tie the laces of their shoes. In order to make the skill of tying laces of their shoes generalized, she want to make the concept of tying laces generalized. Which of the following things teachers should not advise? Tying laces of different shoes, tying laces of their peer shoes, tying laces of their shoes in the classroom, tying laces of their shoes in their home.
B, sir.
B.
B. Trying laces of peer shoes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Trying laces of their shoes in the classroom, because for the first time it might be embarrassing for the child and he might not feel comfortable doing the activities.
Okay. Any other parent?
A.
Tying laces of different shoes.
Or
Okay.
maybe at home or classroom both.
Okay. So see what is happening here. Class teacher is there. She is teaching the concept of generalization of shoes in ASD kids. So we have to think of what are the variables are there. So class teacher is one variable. Shoes are one variable because a child might be wearing only one particular set of shoes. So class teacher, shoes, that means related to laces, shoes and laces, I will take it as one variable. And the third thing is uh, classroom environment, the class teacher and the class teacher, the shoelaces and the other peers. So these are the three variables which are there. So I have told you, when we teach the concept of generalization, we have to just change the one variable at a time. So if I tell you tying laces of different shoes, so if the child is tying laces of different shoes, that means we are changing only one variable. Am I right? Classroom is there, teacher is there, and we are just changing. Classroom is there, child is there, but we are just changing the different shoes from one variable. That is, from one different shoe, we are changing another shoe. So we have changed only one variable. In second, if I tell you tying laces of their peer shoes, so again classroom environment is there, teacher is there because teacher is teaching, he is the therapist, she is the therapist. So teacher is there, classroom is there, both the variables are same. Here I have changed the variable, that is from he's tying the shoes of others. So only one variable is changed. In the third scenario, tying the laces of their shoes in the classroom. So again, here again, the environment I have changed only the shoes. The different other things are same. The classroom is there, teacher is there. Now, in the fourth thing, tying the laces of the shoes in home. What is happening here? I have changed the environment. That is, from the school, it is the teacher. From the school, it is the home. From the therapist, that is the teacher. Now here is the mother. Because in the home, there will be mother, there won't be any teacher. So, but the shoes are same. So here the two variables have changed. You got my point? The environment has changed. The therapist has changed from the teacher to the mother and from the environment to the home. So D should be the answer, that tying laces of the shoes in home should not be advised to the children when the teacher is teaching the concept of generalization to the students in class. I hope I have made myself clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So these were the I think we have so I skip up this question. So these were the things which I have summarized today. So just to summarize, so we have need to work on sensory awareness, focus, emotional, social, and executive functioning. So these things always have to be kept in mind when we are working on this socialization funnel. So this is rather than a sensory funnel, it's a socialization funnel. So with this, I will end my today's webinar, and I hope there is not much time left. So I will take up just one question if any one of the parents are having any question, and then we'll be taking up, question and answer session dedicatedly at the end of a webinar series.
Uh, Sir, I have one question related to the
Yes.
generalization of teaching. That's a very good information. Actually, I got to know from, and I'm also trying to think on that perspective. But sometimes, as you say, that sometimes it will not be possible that every time you will not be able to see that what is going in the therapy center. Okay, so in that case, like you are saying in the last question you asked, so I need to make my son learn tying the shoelaces. Okay, and
Hmm.
I'm not being able to do the same thing in the center where actually he is learning. So in
Hmm.
that cases, as you say that only once one variable we should change at a time. So what should
Yes.
I do if I am not making him the things that done in the therapy center also? Then I need to learn also things in the home where it is changing two variables. So what should I do that time?
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Definitely. You should. That is why I'm telling you. See, actually, it is your right. It is the parents' right to have a continuous touch with the therapist. Nowadays, normally, how do the therapy centers are planned? They have a glass sheet from where you can easily visualize what is going on. So that is why you should learn what are the techniques being developed, what are the techniques being taught, or what are the OT things or I would exercises have been done with your child at the therapy center, so that you can imply that at your home. Because definitely you should be well versed with those things. You should not be master, but at least you should know what is going with your child and what exercises have been done. Because if you are not well aware of those things, that 45 minutes of therapies thrice a week or 4 times a week will not help your child. Ultimately, you have to take the mastery of that therapy sessions. So that is why it is very, very important. You should learn, and then you try, as I've told you, change the variable from one at a time.
Okay, sir. But
Okay.
as I said, like sometimes it will be the two environment because I'm not being able to make
I'm
him do.
see.
You are
I'll give
getting
you
my
example.
point. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give you
just
example. I take an example. For example, tying a shoelace.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, if your child is in the therapy center, the therapist has tied the teaching him the tying the lace. So the child is wearing a black shoe. He's in the therapy center. Ex therapy therapist is there, and he has learned he's tying the shoes. Okay.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
when you bring the child at home, you provide him that similar black shoe, but the environment is changed from the therapist, from the therapy to the home, and from the therapist to the mother. Two variables are changed. You tell him tie the
Correct.
shoes. He doesn't tie.
Hmm.
That is your question. So now what
Right.
you have to do in the therapy center, you use the black shoes, you use the environment, the therapy, that is the therapy center, but you change the variable from the therapist to you. You request the therapist, sir, okay, today I will tie the shoes. You just sit aside and do not watch, just sit aside, and the child should not be visible to you. You give the command
Hmm.
tying the shoes. Observe how the child. If he's able
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that time, if he's able to tie that shoes, do that
Hmm.
activity similarly daily for at least 10 days. When he's well versed with the change of one variable, now perform that activity with the changing the other variable. That means from the therapy center to the house, but with the same color black shoe, with the same texture black shoe, with the same texture, laces. Because they are very fussy about the color, texture, and of the colors of the shoes. I mean the different things. You got my point?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Got your point.
Yeah.
बारिश हो
Thank
रही
you.
है जाओ बाहर पानी
Okay.
देखो कितना सड़कों पे देख लो कितना भरा है, उसकी टैंकी में भी
Please
नहीं है।
kindly mute yourself. Please kindly mute yourself. So with this, we'll end
और
up questions. I think there are a lot of questions are there in the chat box, but we'll be discussing on our last question and answer session on this after the end of this webinar series. So thank you, parents, for joining today. Thank you very much. Thank you.